Welcome to Timeless Chronicles. Explore history. One photo offers a glimpse into how people were exploited for entertainment during the early 1900s. The U.S. government brought indigenous Filipinos to the U.S. to put on display. During the St. Louis World's Fair in 1904, the United States government oversaw an exhibit that was essentially a mock village with residents from the Philippines. The U.S. was in the midst of colonizing the Philippines after the Spanish-American War of 1898 and presented members of groups like the Igorotes tribe to the public. The intent was to showcase how uncivilized Filipinos were as a way of justifying the time and expense of colonization. Truman Hunt saw an opportunity after the St. Louis World's Fair ended. The success of the Igorote village at the St. Louis World's Fair sparked an idea in the mind of Truman Hunt. He decided he would get members of the Igorote tribe to come to the United States and take part in comparable displays. He was uniquely equipped to enlist Igorotes, as he was familiar with their customs and had built up a fair amount of cash with the tribe in the Philippines. After backing out of his deal to present the Igorote in Portland, Truman Hunt went to Coney Island. Truman Hunt and Edmund Felder were supposed to present the Igorotes at the Lewis and Clark Centennial Exposition in Portland in 1905, but by the time Hunt arrived in the U.S., the relationship between the two men soured. When Hunt arrived in Portland, he met with Henry Goode, the president of the exposition, to assess plans for the Igorote village. Hunt wasn't happy with Goode's plan, and soon he had fallen out with both Felder and Goode. At that point, he withdrew the Igorotes and put them on a train to New York. Tribal customs like dog feasts were exploited by Truman Hunt to make money. Truman Hunt marketed the Igorotes as headhunting dog eaters, not entirely false, but definitely not the defining characteristic of the group. When the Igorotes were presented in St. Louis in 1904, they took part in an elaborate dance in which dogs were killed, skinned, and cooked into a stew. One spectator described the scene. Truman Hunt's Igorote performers went home in 1906 and 1907. The money Truman Hunt promised the Igorote he brought to the United States, called Nikamilika by their counterparts back home, did not come to fruition. When all but the 5 Igorote who testified against Hunt returned to the Philippines in July 1906, they had only $30 each, money they had made in large part from selling souvenirs. What the group was owed in total amounted to thousands of dollars. People continued to showcase Igorote groups through 1914. While the Igorotes were in Coney Island, Truman Hunt made up artificial positions for many of the tribe members. War chiefs and witch doctors were designated, and rituals associated with each position were put on display. One of the most elaborate ceremonies Hunt showcased was a wedding, albeit staged, between 2 members of the tribe.